Students at Oberlin College are upset at the fact that their university is selling ethnic foods that are not necessarily portrayed in the accurate way, okay? They're inauthentic, and as a result, cultural appropriation.
Oh, go on, dude. Go.
So let me give you the details on this, and let's all try to keep an open mind, okay?
Yeah.
Because when I first read it, I was annoyed by it, but I'm trying to understand it from their perspective. So just take a listen. So complaints against Bon Appetit, the college's food management company, include serving undercooked sushi rice and cooked sushi fish instead of raw, offering General Tso's chicken that was steamed, not fried, selling Vietnamese banh mi with pulled pork rather than grilled, and using ciabatta instead of traditional French bread. Now, one Japanese student says, when you're cooking a country's dish for other people, including ones who had never tried the original dish before, you're also representing the meaning of the dish as well as its culture. So if people not from that heritage take food, modify it, and serve it as authentic, it's appropriation.
Go. Look, I know you told me to keep an open mind. I can't do it. Okay, can't win with it. Okay, so look, first of all, there is no General Tso. Okay, don't worry about whether it's steamed or fried. It's nonsense either way. So my wife is Chinese, and so she gets super annoyed at inauthentic food.
Yeah.
So now there's some great authentic Asian restaurants in LA, but there's also your regular Chinese restaurants. She won't go anywhere near them. You know, who the hell is General Tso?
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, so now she's allowed to be annoyed by that.
Yes.
And not go to those restaurants. That makes all the sense in the world. It's a different thing to say, I'm offended because you have misappropriated my culture. Like, yeah, dude, they don't make the gyros here as well as they do in Turkey, let alone Hamburg, right? So what? Okay, the gyros are a little different. They cook them a little different. I think it's better in Turkey. Bon appetit.
Yeah, I largely agree with you. So I can totally understand them being frustrated at their food being misrepresented and having people eat it and think that it's authentic. That's super annoying. And look, it happens with every culture, not just Japanese, not just Chinese. Every single culture experiences it, and it's kind of frustrating. But it's what the U.S. has been doing since the beginning of the U.S. Like, we take food from other cultures and then we make it our own, which can be frustrating if we try to pass it off as authentic. But I think the vast majority of people know it's not authentic. When we're eating Domino's, we're not thinking, it's Italian.
Yeah.
Right? It's a
amore,
spicy pizza.
that's amore.
No, we don't know it. That's amore. No one thinks it's real freaking pizza. It's freaking Domino's. It's delicious.
And look, that's actually my favorite example.
Yeah.
We appropriated pizza from the Italians, partly because they're the ones who brought it here and started selling it, meaning Italians that became Italian Americans. But the Italians didn't put cheese on their pizza. It was just bread and tomato sauce, which is weak sauce. But that pizza sucks. We made it better. Okay. Now with Chinese food, you make an argument that, hey, no, we didn't make it better, but it depends on your taste buds. Okay, so look, on the one hand, I get that it's frustrating when there's real cultural appropriation, and it is a real thing, it does exist, right? So when Elvis shakes his hips, he's cool and he's hot and he gets paid millions of dollars. When a black person did it, that's inappropriate and overly sexual, and they get punished for it, right? So that's real, that exists, it's a phenomenon. But you're degrading that phenomenon and allowing people to make fun of it when you bring it to this absurd level.
Yeah, so I feel like cultural appropriation has now become a phrase that's used as a catch-all for anything that might annoy or offend someone, right? Cultural appropriation is a thing. It exists, there's no question about it. When we celebrate white women wearing, their hair in an afro and we say, oh, it's so edgy and it's so cool, but at the same time, companies refuse to hire black women if they wear their hair naturally, that's cultural appropriation. There's a double standard there, and that's an issue that should be talked about in a calm dialogue, right? But when you take something like, oh, the rice wasn't cooked enough, therefore this is cultural appropriation, then you're taking a serious issue, you're minimizing it, you're belittling it, and you're actually halting the discussion, because people who are already prone to kind of brushing it aside and thinking that it's not a serious issue are going to look at stories like this and they're going to be like, yeah, these people are clowns. Cultural appropriation doesn't exist.
So Oberlin is a notoriously liberal campus.
Yeah.
Okay. I say notoriously. I know that's slanted. Okay, but this is why. I mean, it's one thing to say, hey, sushi should be raw fish. Largely true. And it's one thing to get annoyed by that and go, clowns at Bon Appetit. They don't know anything about sushi.
By the way, every sushi restaurant in America does cultural appropriation then, including the Japanese restaurants that have Japanese sushi chefs, because all of them have like all these crazy concoctions that aren't authentic Japanese.
And sometimes,
right?
and they're not all raw, right?
Right.
That's another thing. But then when you complain that it is undercooked rice and hence cultural appropriation, you've gone too far.